Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about physical and chemical processes. So it is a continuation of previous class. We have discussed about the different processes which are involved in crude oil refining, as well as by refining that we have different types of petroleum products. So in this basically we have two types of processes which are implemented in petroleum industry. Those are classified into two types: physical process and chemical process. So in this physical process we have a different methods as distillation method, solvent extraction method, profane desulfating, and solvent dewaxing and blending. Okay, then in chemical process, again this chemical process will be classified into two types as thermal and catalytic. In thermal process we have another three methods as wisp breaking, delayed coking, and flexi coking type methods. While coming to the catalytic method as hydro treating, catalytic reforming as a cracking hydro cracking, which is to be treated as catalytic dewaxing. So these are the different methods. Uh, Different methods will be processed in chemical process of oil refinery operations. Then, first of all, we will discuss about physical process. So, different physical processes are involved in this oil refinery industry. As first part of the physical process is desulfating and dehydration. Now, other than that, how to distillation of the crude oil, crude distillation, profane desulfating, and solvent extraction and dewaxing and blending. So those are different methods. First of all, we will see how the crude oil will be distilled, how it will be distillation will be considered. Now, whenever you take the vertical tank, whereas here we have a different parts. Once the crude oil enter into this column, whereas distillation means we will separate the mixture of compounds in a crude oil as which are involved with the different hydrocarbons also. So lower part and upper part. So in this lower part, we have different trays are involved here. At different temperatures will be maintained. So this column will be maintained with a different trace, and at a different temperature, different products are produced from that. Now, when you see this block diagram here, the gas carbons and naphtha, gasoline, kerosene, lubricant oil, heavy gas oil, and also residuals. Different petroleum products are produced while taking this column as a distillation column. Okay, but first step we are going to discuss about the desalting and dehydration. Okay, this is the overview of the crude oil refining. In this crude oil refining, first step we have to see to produce a petroleum product, we have to see the desalting and dehydration. After desalting and dehydration, the crude is separated into the fractions by the distillation. That distillated fractions cannot be used directly. So for that reason, the complex set of the processes is difference between the crude oil properties and the need of the market. So another reason is that the complexity of the environment legislation is also demands that to clean the product also. So based on this, we need to take that step as a desalting and dehydration. So in this desalting and dehydration, the crude oil will also be contains with the water, inorganic salt, suspended salt, and water soluble traces also. Okay, in the first step, starting step, refining process is to remove all the contaminants and to reduce the corrosion, flogging, and fouling of equipment, and also which is prevent the poisoning of catalyst in processing. units. So that is the first step of desalting and dehydration. So the two most typical methods of crude oil desalting are chemical and electrostatic separation, and both the hot water as well as the extraction agent. So those things will be involved in a desalting. And in chemical desalting, water and chemical surfactant will be used there. It is also called as a demulsifier. So in which we can add a crude which is heated, and then salts are separated and other purities are also dissolved and attached to the water. So then it will be held in a tank to settle out. Okay, so this is a desalting and dehydration process. So another type of method for desalting is electrical desalting, is the application of high voltage electrostatic charges to concrete the suspended water globules in the bottom of the settling tank. Okay, so these surfactants are added only whenever the crude has a large amount of suspended solids. So basically, the desalting and the dehydration methods having to take the different type of steps. The first step is chemical desalting. Second step is electrical desalting, and third one, it is a rare process which is filters of hot crude oil using the diatomerous earth also. Okay, so this is a generalized process of desalting and dehydration. So here the gravity settler tank will be there, which is connected with the electrical power, a process of water, and also in the bottom emulsifier will be attached here. Okay, so from that the desalted crude and effluent wastewater will be produces from the exit. Okay, so that is a one type of process to desalting and dehydration of the uh, crude oil. Okay, the crude oil is fed stock is heated at 65 to 180 degrees centigrade to reduce the viscosity and surface tension for the easier mixing and separation of water. So the temperature is limited by the vapor pressure of the crude oil feedstock. So these both methods and other chemicals may also be added. So ammonia is also used here to reduce the corrosion, and caustic soda or acids may be added to adjust the pH value of the water wash. The next important concept is distillation method. Now in this process, these all are the physical and chemical processes we are going to discuss right now. So under the chemical process, after desaltation or dehydration process, one of the important process will be a distillation process. Now let us see the distillation process. So distillation means we have to separate a mixer. So a process in which a liquid or vapor mixture of two or more substances will be separated into its component fractions of desired purity. So by this application and removal of heat also. So distillation is based on the fact that the vapor of a boiling mixer, which will be richer in the components that have lower boiling point also. So based on the boiling point, this mixture of compounds will be separated in this distillation process. So when the vapor is cooled and then condensed, the condensate will contain the more volatile components. So at the same time, the original mixture will contain the more or less of the volatile components only. So this is the purpose of distillation. Whereas this distillation process commonly we will call as a separation process, and it consumes the enormous amount of the energy, and both in terms of cooling and heating requirements are very important in this distillation process. Okay, this distillation will contribute to more than 50% of plant operating costs. And then distillation columns are classified into different types also based on the flow, as a batch flow or continuous flow. Okay, in this continuous column, which can process a continuous feed stream, no interruptions are occurs unless there is a problem. So with the column or surrounding process units, they are capable to handle the uh, high end, most of the common type of two types of columns will be used here as a continuous distillation columns and number of product streams they are passing through it. Okay, for example, in a continuous distillation columns, a nature of feed that they are processed. For example, binary column, multi-component column. So different columns will be placing to separate the components from the mixer. So feed contains only two components, and multi-component column, it will feed contains the more than two components. So that is the difference between binary column, multi-component column. Okay, so up to two components, that is treated as a binary column. More than two, which is called as multi-component column. So a nature of feed that they are processing, which are classified. Another one, another type of continuous distillation column is number of product streams that they will be depends on the multi-product column also. So this column has a more than two product streams. Okay, so which there is a extraction of the uh, sample, and then which can exit with the help of the separation process. So that extractive distillation and azeotropic distillations are also two different processes which are used for the separation of the components from the mixture of components. And basically the different types of column internals will be used. Internally different column materials or different components are also used in the distillation column, whereas tray type columns are also used, and then packet type columns are also used. For the tray type, the trays are arranged in a different shapes and different purposes also. The tray of various designs are used to hold up the liquid to provide a better contact between the vapor and liquid. Then coming to the packed column, the packings are used to enhance the vapor liquid contact also. Okay, so the main components of distillation columns will be like this. Okay, now first the heart of the column will be different tray arrangement and different plates arrangement.